I've got Ryan from Highly Suspect on the line. Ryan and the crew going to be hitting up the Sanctuary Events Center coming up on November 2nd, man. How's it going today?
It's going good, man. How you doing?
Oh, I'm not too bad, not too bad. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this because we're going to dive right into this about touring with COVID. You guys obviously have been dealing just like everyone else in the world with the pandemic. What has the last year been like for Highly Suspect?
It was incredibly unfortunate and is in just the same ways as it was for everybody else. However, on a positive note, it was the best thing that ever happened to the band. We had been touring nonstop for, I think, 6 or 7 years. I mean, it's blurry at this point, but we put out album after album after album back to back, and we were touring them just as hard as we were putting them out. And I'm going to be totally honest with you, the touring is not an easy thing. I mean, it's glamorous in some ways, and it's very difficult and stressful in others. And we had just really hit burnout. We didn't, I just felt like I'd been dragged across the world nonstop with this schedule that never ends, and there's always something to do. And finally, we got a hard stop out of nowhere. I mean, we had just started touring MCID. We were just starting to play those songs live. I think the record came out in November and something like that. And then in March, we were in France and everything got shut down. So we had really just gotten started playing those songs for people. And, we had like another year and a half on that album, and we were headed just towards, cranking out another record. And,
You said that you guys were in France. Did you guys get stuck over there at all, or were you guys able to come back to the United States?
We actually, COVID chased us around Europe for a couple of weeks. It started when we were in France, we started when we were in Switzerland, I believe. We were the last show in Prague. They tried to shut down the venue, and this is like before anyone knew anything about COVID. The venue got shut down, and we were like, screw that, and we found a private, smaller venue. It was actually a really cool, like, little nightclub, and we put on a show there for, I think, like half the size of the other venue, and it was really fun. And then the police found out about it, and we got in a little bit of trouble, and we ran over to France, and the venue in Paris told us that they were going to stay open no matter what, and we were like, sick, okay, cool. So we parked the bus outside of Paris. Day of the show, venue calls, show's off. So, and then we were trying to make our way over to, I think, to Germany to try to like play some of the shows we hadn't booked in Germany. We're like in the middle of nowhere in France. Germany calls, shows are off. And then same time, President gets on the horn and he goes, everybody get home in 24 hours. We're closing the borders. And it was like mayhem. The airports were just slammed. We were like, what are we going to do? And we're like, we were literally like, stranded because the bus driver can only drive for so long, union rules, Yep.
You can't be getting in trouble there.
No, we literally couldn't book it to the border in time to make it. And then later in the afternoon, he came on and was like, actually, like, I'll give you a certain amount of time to get back. If you're a citizen, you can still come home and everything. So it was like, all right, fine. But it was still a mad dash to get to UK because our visas were out of London because that's where the tour was ended, and they're very strict about where you enter and where you leave. So we made it back, but we had to leave all of our gear in overseas. Luckily, our tour manager at the time, he lives in Leeds, England, and he has a large storage facility there. So we got lucky because he's still got all of our stuff.
Did you guys get all your stuff back yet, or did you have to go buy new stuff for this tour?
We went and bought new stuff. It was just cheaper. I mean, shipping right now and logistics, getting anything is just a giant nightmare. I've heard PS5s are a nightmare to get. Some things are just unattainable because shipping is so backed up, and it would cost us so many thousands of dollars. And we were like, you know what? We're going to need that stuff when we go over there anyways. Let's just buy new stuff. And then we don't have to fly with 25, 30 items, and it costs us $6,000 every time we fly or whatever it costs. It's like, let's just leave the stuff over there. We'll save money in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, in the long run, that makes sense to me. And the cool thing about you guys now having gear over there is if you want to go tour over there, you just go do it. And right now, you guys' tour going to be hitting up Fargo, where we're at here, November 2nd, 2020, Sanctuary Events Center. This is a really cool venue, man. It's an old church that they converted into a music venue. The place is awesome. The acoustics are phenomenal for it because it is an old church. I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun with it. I believe this is your first time ever coming to Fargo as a band. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe so, at least in the time that I've been here. I don't think you guys have been here.
Huh. Okay. Well, that's exciting.
I think it's going to be a good time, unless you guys came and did a show that I didn't know about, and there's a good possibility. My memory isn't what it used to be. But we're excited.
Like I said, I was been touring for a long time too, so it might be blurry for me also.
Might be blurry. You know, maybe years ago when you guys first got started, you rolled through here, but this is definitely your first time headlining, I do believe. That being said, I want to know, like, when you're out on tour doing these shows, what's your favorite song to perform that you guys have?
Ooh, well, that's all based off the crowd. I mean,
really?
If you play if you play in a song that the crowd loves and that love hits you on stage, it could be a song that the night before I was just like, when is this going to end? Because I've played it. Like, I've played Lydia 10,000 times at this point. And sometimes it's like, well, I'm just going through the motions. I know people want to hear it. They pay good money for it. So I'm going to give them a show. I'm going to give them Lydia. But, like, do I want to play Lydia? Not necessarily. But, you know, if the people are, like, really excited about it, then that's just the little boost I need, and all of a sudden I love playing Lydia again. You
know, there is one thing to say. There are, you know, some of those classic rock artists that are coming out, not playing their hits, just playing kind of the deep cuts, their favorite songs. There is something to say from a music fan perspective. It's like, you know, you still want to hear those songs. Even if you've heard them many times before, you want to hear them.
Foo Fighters still plays Everlong, and it's the #1 hit on Spotify. They put out how many records?
Yeah,
since Everlong came out?
That would be like going to an AC/DC show and not hearing Thunderstruck or like Highway to Hell. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me why some of the artists do that. It's good to hear, though, at least you get that crowd reaction. And that's the thing, as an artist, that kind of goes to this question. I normally ask it later, but since you kind of led into it, you guys get a little bit different view when you're on stage. And I always ask everyone that I interview this question because you see some crazy stuff. And you can only usually see, depending on the venue, a couple of the first rows. What's the craziest thing that you've ever seen from stage?
Yeah. Well, there was a phase in Highly Suspect's career where we threw cake at the audience. And it abruptly ended. I forget where it was. There was our guitar tech, Spike. He always does the cake throwing. We would request in our rider, we need a birthday cake. And so we would get a birthday cake. It would say happy birthday, and we'd have like something funny written on it or whatever. And, you know, you got to do these things to, like, you know, keep some consistency in your life or whatever. And so Spike comes out on stage and with the cake in hand, and something slips when he goes to throw it. Normally he shot puts this cake. Spike's a big dude. He shot puts this cake, you know, 50 yards out into the audience. It goes flying out, and it separates into little bits and pieces. And it doesn't, like, it kind of like makes a mess, but it's spread everywhere, and people love it. And then they try to catch the cake and eat the cake. Anyways, something slips when Spike's throwing it. His hand slips, the bottom of it or something like that. And he basically just, like, dunks this full-size birthday cake into this, like, 50-year-old woman's face.
Oh, no.
Who was, like, in the front row. And she was actually, like, she had never heard the band before. She won tickets on a radio giveaway. And she got a meet and greet, and I remember, like, meeting her, and she was like, "What do you do?" And I told her I play drums, and she's like, "Cool, like, what's your band like?" And I was like, "Wait, what do you mean? Like, you're here at the, like, what do you mean? Haven't you heard the music? Like, you're at the concert?" She goes, No, I'm just, like, having a good time." I was like, "All right, cool, I respect you for that." And then Spike basically spikes a birthday cake into her face, and one of the corners, like, hit her eye and gave her a small laceration in her eye and a black eye, and she sued us for $10,000.
Did she win?
And we stopped. She won, and we stopped. We stopped throwing cakes into the audience.
That is great. Okay, so that actually you're leading me into all these questions that I normally ask. So to me, like I said off before we started like getting into this, I'm actually a big fan of Highly Suspect. I love your guys' music, own all the vinyls. That being said, for someone out there, like let's say someone was coming to the show, they just saw you guys, figured they were going to go to a concert, or they won tickets like this. How would you describe Highly Suspect's music to people who don't know? Because I think you guys have like a different sound than anyone else out there. You guys are doing it different, and that's a great thing when it comes to rock music.
Man, that is a good question. I don't really know. We've always had sort of like, if you could call it this, an issue, because there's a lot of bands out there that are like, hard rock mixture, add water. Now you've got rock music.
Yep.
And we never really fit that mold. I mean, Johnny, our singer, listens to a lot of hip hop, a lot of rap, a lot of pop music, as well as like classic greats like Eric Clapton or Allman Brothers or anything like from that sort of era, the Byrds and shit. So we've all kind of got these like massive mixes of influence, and sometimes you might hear like a jazz sort of like riff followed by like some kind of like rapping or like a super heavy bass line with like a really beautiful melody sung over it. And it's just sort of like all over the place. And it's getting our music out there was a bit like pushing a plow rather than like a sort of like narrow point. So it was always took us longer to get our music out there, but our fan base is the most eclectic and widely ranging age group that I've ever seen in a venue. I mean, people are out with their young kids, and they come out with their grandparents, because the grandparents, their favorite song is Serotonia, but the kids, they love like Tokyo Ghoul because it's got Young Thug on it. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's literally all over the map, which is the way we've always been. So the music follows if you're being true to yourself.
Here's the thing about you guys, and I think this is the reason that I'm into you guys, because I'm the most millennial answer I can give. I love all forms of music. It don't matter what it is. I listen to everything. And I just enjoy live music. And I was a wedding DJ for years. So, I mean, literally any music that's out there, I'll listen to it. If it's good music, it crosses genres. And
good music.
I really think you guys do that. I really do. I think you guys have a little bit of every genre sprinkled in there, and it appeals to everybody. Like you said, it's a wide, eclectic group of people, and they're really into it. And I think that that's what you guys do, and I think that's why you guys have the fan base that you do. What I want to talk about is, so this band here, Highly Suspect, isn't new, to say the least. You guys have been around the block a time or two here, and it's a family affair. Your twin brother, Rich, is in the band as well. Tell us a little bit how you guys got this band all together, got started, and got into music, really.
Well, Rich and I go way back. We used to be roommates. We were born 18 minutes apart, and we both played drums growing up. And my father's a guitar player, so he eventually thought guitar was cooler, and he picked up the guitar, and thank God he did, because now he's the bass player and singer, or like I guess co-singer of the band. And we met Johnny in high school, and it was the three of us. And so you got a twin brother rhythm section. We're about as tight as it gets. I mean, like, it's weird sometimes because I guess if you're around the same person all the time, you just think the same, So
with MCID coming out here, I just got a couple more questions for you, Ryan.
Totally.
With MCID coming out here, you guys dropped that in November of 19. And still, like I said, every album's a little bit different. You guys sound phenomenal. You guys kind of dropped that November of 19, and then, like you said, a couple months later, all of a sudden it's COVID. Do you think COVID, like the shutdown, you guys not being able to go out on tour, do you feel like that hurt the album a little bit, the release of that?
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden nobody was really concerned about which new album just came out.
Yeah.
Everyone was pretty concerned about what they were concerned about, and within good reason. I mean, I think it took a little while before records started coming out post the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah, very much so. Yes, yeah. As someone who's in radio, yes, it did. It took a long time to get new music.
It did. As a species, we were affected quite abruptly by this whole thing, and everything got shut down and everyone started scrambling. So, I think MCID is a good record, and it was just kind of left in the dust because of circumstance. And we're still excited about the songs. We're still excited about playing them. We have been writing the entire time, and we have loads of new material that we're still putting together in another record. And we're going to be playing a lot of songs, old classics, old standbys. We're going to be playing songs off MPID, but we're also going to treat our audiences to a little taste of our next album. We're going to play a song or two, maybe just one, off the next album. It's not going to come out until next year, but if you come out to the show, you can at least get a little taste of what that's going to be like.
I really love that you led into that, because that was, look, we're in sync here. That was my next question, was new music and stuff. If you guys were going to tease us with a little bit of it out there, I'm looking forward to the show. And I know a lot of people out there are as well. It's an all ages show too. That's the cool part. So like you said, eclectic group of people. If you're into Highly Suspect, if you don't know who these guys are, you need to go check them out. November 2nd, 2021, just a few days away here at the Sanctuary Events Center. This is going to be a fun show. Tickets still available. Get the details, Q1051rocks.com. Ryan, I appreciate the time today and look forward to seeing you in a couple days here.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Ever wonder why you pay the rates you do for your insurance premiums? And when you see them, you ever think to yourself, am I getting the most value for my premium dollar? The DJ Coulter Agency of American Family Insurance knows those thoughts all too well and will make sure that you're getting the best rates on your auto, home, business, farm, and life insurance policies. So what's there to lose? Give the DJ Coulter Agency of American Family a call and have them check at 701-775-5568. That's 701-775-5568. The DJ Coulter Agency of American Family Insurance, your dream champion.